Commissioner hinted that if the rest of the college football keeps pushing towards pool media rights in a 2014 playoff, the SEC might simply go on its own way. Tonight on the SEC Drive, we're breaking down whether that's a real possibility or the biggest power move in the history of the sport. And while the national media is focused on playoff expansion, something else just happened inside the SEC that could change recruiting battles across the conference. The state of Mississippi just eliminated income taxes on NIL earnings for college athletes. So what does that mean for Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and the rest of the league? Let's talk about it. It's time to drive. Good evening, and welcome. Good evening, and welcome back to the SEC Drive. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, along with my co-host, Big Cuz Marcus Dent. And
What's
if
up?
You love college football in the SEC, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss a moment of the SEC Drive. Welcome into the show, everybody. Oh, we got the Bevo crew in here right now. Benji and Bevo's bodyguard, the only ones in there. Whew. Hurry up, Sooner fans. Come on.
Get in.
Somebody. Welcome in, guys. But, hey, tell you what. I don't know if you saw everything that happened on the Paul Finebaum Show the other day, but it appears that all the stuff, I mean, kind of felt like on Friday, the whole presidential the meeting and all that stuff went about like I expected it to go, which was basically not at all. It's just a bunch of BS and
bunch of talk.
And then, you did hear the president say some things about dialing NIL all the way back because he knew it would get sued. That kind of was a little bit odd to me, but I think it did do something with Greg Sankey. The next day, he's on with Paul Finebaum, and Finebaum straight asked him if things continue to go the way they're going for the SEC in these talks with the playoff, with the NIL structure, with rules, would the league be willing to go on its own? And he seemed to say yes. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Man, Sankey is the type of guy. He wants to be at the front of the pack. That's just who he is. Can the SEC do it? I think they can, but I think they would need more people, would need more teams to come in to be able to do that. Maybe partnering up with the Big Ten or something similar to that. But it seems that he's want to lead the charge in getting that done is what it looks like to me.
Well, and I don't know that it would be the Big Ten. It sounds like it would be not the Big Ten, but I agree with you that you'd start seeing the SEC grow.
Yes.
You probably start seeing teams like North Carolina, Virginia, possibly Florida State, Clemson, Miami, whatever. They're going to start pulling. They're going to start pulling programs from around the country. I would assume maybe they go and grab up a program just to kind of get them out of the way. Maybe Texas Tech.
Yes.
Because of all this stuff. The Texas Tech thing is they're coming in starting talking about pooling all the media rights for all the conferences together, which would definitely go against the 1984 Supreme Court case.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that just in order to do that, you'd probably see them pull that kind of a power move as well.
I I could see Texas Tech. I could see them being one of the teams that he would go after, just for the money. You know, I mean, their brand is growing. Look at the recruits they have brought in. Look at what they're doing right now. Girls softball, football. I mean, they're investing in the program. So those type schools like that, yeah, I could definitely see them reaching out and say, "Hey, look, why you come on and join us?" You know.
I think so too. I think that Cody Campbell's coming off of more and more like a wolf in sheep's clothing all the time. Anyway, he's acting like he cares about the little guy. I think he cares about Texas Tech.
100%. 100%. I mean, that's just his MO. And I mean, I'm cool with it. You know, he's doing what he has to do. But, right now, Greg is a guy that, like I talked earlier when we was off the phone, just talking about how he wants to be at the forefront. And I just think that's where this move come from. Will this trigger other conferences? Will this trigger the Big Ten to think that way? Will it trigger the Big 12?
That's the hope, right? I think that the hope is that this, because make no mistake, what you're seeing is, I mean, obviously we heard Josh Heupel last week talking about he'd be okay with the 2014 playoff. I think that you probably hear a lot of coaches that would say the same thing.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of coaches that would say the same thing because that helps them keep their jobs. The bigger the playoff, the more teams that go in.
right.
So, I don't think that that's as big of a deal, but I think that as far as the league is concerned itself, Greg Sankey's way against that. That's the reason that they stayed at 12 is because he was ready to go up to 16. The Big Ten wants to go to 24. I mean, he's pretty much got everybody on board with that. I think that the ACC and the Big 12 are on board with that as well.
Oh yeah, because they can get more teams in. The ACC and the Big 12, they will definitely be in favor of adding more. Because it would definitely help them.
They're not getting anybody in except for their champion, pretty much.
Pretty much, that's it. Last year ACC, you had Miami had the record that they had. Of course, Duke won the ACC, but they had 5 losses. So you couldn't put them in.
Well, except for now that changes. That changes now because if this was this year, Duke would have been in and Miami would not have.
That's crazy.
Maybe it would have actually because of the fact that they went in over Notre Dame is what that was.
Yeah, that's it. That's definitely, you can't. The golden child got left out.
Yeah. So they were doing everything they could to keep them in.
Right. The golden child got head to head, man. You can't beat head to head. I don't give a crap what you say. Can't beat head to head. And I think right now with everything's going on from lawsuits to a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I heard what was it last night that Oklahoma is still trying to get Heineke another year. It's not over.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. Yeah, Jim Nagy talked about that I guess he was at a practice or whatever over the weekend and was talking about he still just wants to be there. Yeah. I think they're looking into it. I don't know that there's anything going to really move there. And I think that it's going to get to a point that Owen's probably going to need to go ahead and just embrace where he's at.
Yeah.
Because you don't want it to start coming off like you don't want to play in the NFL, right?
Well, here's the deal. So how big is the Trinidad Chandler's case when it comes to college football? We talked about that the last time me and you talked.
Huge.
It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So how many other schools got this kid that's got a similar situation? Jason, I guarantee you 90% of these schools in the Power 4, even G5, of course, but I guarantee you there's one kid that they say, hey, man, I'd like to have that kid another year. We got a little bit of a situation right here. Let's try this. Let's seek in our local court, say he can play. So that's why I feel like, they're doing what they're doing to try to fight Chambers.
Yeah. I mean,
They're trying to push it to Congress, I believe.
They are trying to push it to Congress, but right now, the antitrust protection is not. That's what they're trying to do, is get antitrust protection against all these lawsuits. But that's not really in the cards at the moment. That's not really in the cards at the moment. Now, if Mississippi, if the state of Mississippi steps in, and like we talked about before, because on the show that we did on the Gauntlet, we were talking about how there is precedent in the state of Mississippi about not being able to overrule a high school association because of it being
nonprofit,
a nonprofit, and also where it's whatever, you know, in that. But here's the thing: the NCAA, I don't know that it's nonprofit, and they're trying to put themselves in that position to where they're the same. But I think that there's, you know, look, Tom Mars and those guys aren't stupid. They're going to know which way to fight that and all that. So there's no guarantees on that, right?
No.
But let's just say somehow they're able to overrule the injunction, and Trinidad doesn't play this year. I think that definitely helps the NCAA, but
I don't think that's going to happen, though.
I'm not sure that I believe it's going to happen either. And at the end of the day, I think that it doesn't change the fact that you are going to continue to have all these lawsuits until you get to a point where you have some form of collective bargaining. Either if it's not collective bargaining or something along the lines of what you talked about before, which is, you know, going to an arbitration or something, but that's all something to do with somehow characterizing the athletes as employees.
Well, Jason, here's the thing.
That's what they don't want.
They don't want that, but let's do this. And I feel confidence in saying this right here. I remember having kids to play 7-on-7 for me and other sports, go to college before NIL. Yeah, it's very demanding. But when NIL came along, they keep those kids at that facility for a very, very long time, from 5 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock sometimes in the evening. That's a freaking job. When you're putting classes and everything else in there, that's a freaking job. Yeah. And so there needs to be some type of protection for those kids. Think about it. You said this, Jason. Way back, the kids never asked for all this. So when they had that meeting, did they have any of those kids there?
No. That's the whole problem. You can't continue. I think that what you saw from the Ed O'Bannon case, right, where this is where it all came to a head, and the Supreme Court voted 8-0 on the NIL thing because you have to be able to make money off your name, image, and likeness. They want them to do that. And every court ruling that's had anything to do with being able to profit off of your name, image, and likeness, and their ability to continue doing that, if the NCAA has tried to limit their ability through whether it's the transfer portal or whatever, trying to limit the transfer portal, that's always come down on the side of the athletes. I think that's what's continuing to happen because there's no avenue for the athletes to fight for themselves.
Zero. And that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying last week on the show. There's no arbitration. If they had an arbitration that both sides agreed upon, but when both sides agree upon something, that's called what? That's called a collective bargaining agreement. Okay, so if both sides agree, say, okay, we're going to take this to a arbitrator, and the arbitrator says, okay, I think he's eligible. Well, we're going to make him eligible. So if you sign that agreement, there's no going to the courts after that because you just signed an agreement saying that they will have the final say so.
Well, now you would have antitrust protection.
Correct.
Because you have they're getting their ability to have a say in the rules that govern the sport that they generate all the money in.
Yes. And you know what just kind of, that Urban Meyer just gets up under my skin. He gets up under my skin, bro. He was one of the, yeah, he won championships, but if you go back and talk to a lot of the guys that played for him, they didn't like him. They didn't like him in the NFL.
No.
And you want to sit up here and make all this money, and you want to talk about these kids getting paid when they're the reason why you make what you make or what you made.
Well, I heard him tell Mark Ingram on the show that they do together. He was like, they ought to make it to where, and you heard Sankey say this too, but I got to say, he was talking about that these guys should get one free portal move no matter what. And then even if a coach moves, they shouldn't be able to move. Well, coach, how is that going to work?
Man, that's not.
How is that going to work?
That's not going to work because
the truth of the matter is, when it comes down to that kind of stuff, I mean, we're kind of getting off a track of what we're talking about. But I said, when the truth comes down to it, at the end of the day, there's a lot more than half of the time the kids are entering the portal because they're told to go into the portal.
Man,
they're being pushed into the portal by the coaching staff.
100%.
And so we're going to tell them that they get pushed in because if they don't go in, they're not going to play anyway. And they've been told they're not in the plans.
Or they're going to drop their money. They're going to drop their money to nothing. They're going to drop their money 100% to nothing. And
that's the other thing.
And most of them have a car note.
That's the other thing. They're acting like they have these contracts that are so set in stone that that if they stayed, they'd get their money and they'd show loyalty and all this other stuff. But loyalty is a two-way street, number one. And number two, it's not loyal on the other side.
At all.
No.
At all. You mess around and
they want their cake and eat it too.
Yeah,
the point is that
you go into the glue factory, man. Just like a horse.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't care. I don't care who you are. You go into the glue factory.
NIL opened up Pandora's box, but guess who put it there, S4L? Guess who made NIL a thing? They tried to make NIL the catch-all for everything, too. It was the NCAA.
Well, Jason, check this out. What about, you know what they want? They want to go back to the freaking bag, man, so this kid don't know what this kid is making. You know, you have Alabama players say, hey, look, I made more at Alabama than I made when I went to the NFL as a rookie. So guess what? I know they would get money. Sure. I had a guy that played with me in college. One of his kids got big time money, and actually he had to go to court for it. Mm-hmm. And when the Means kid got the money and the cars and everything, Alabama been doing it for years. Not only Alabama, every big time program has been doing it.
Hey, as an Oklahoma fan for my entire life, let me tell you, we all know what was going on with the king.
Hey.
Barry Switzer was the king of a lot of things, and part of it was pay. And he'll tell you right now that if they had it legal back in his day, that nobody would have touched him.
He will tell you that.
He'll tell you that all day long.
I know that for a fact.
All day long.
I have a cousin-in-law who can tell you that for a fact.
Yeah.
So
listen, we had Marcus Dupree on the show about a year ago. Remember?
All he did was laugh about it because he knew the time had expired on. He's like, hey, look, it is what it is. But you can't sit. The pot can't call the kettle black. And every time you turn around, you want to talk about not paying them because you want to pay who you want to pay up under the table.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they want to go back to. They want to go back to secretly paying kids. Some of these coaches, because, I think Meyer, I think Saban, I think they're bitter because they didn't leave the way they wanted to leave on their own terms.
Well, if you look at Saban's last championship was the year after they allowed NIL in 2020, which was the COVID year. They played 12 games, went 12-0. That's one of the best teams probably in Alabama history, but that was the last time. Now, he got to the playoff his final year in the last 14 playoff, but they got beat by Michigan. And
correct.
I mean, at the end of the day, you heard him talking about, and that Ms. Terry had talked about it. What are we doing here? We're just talking about money. We're just talking about money. We're just talking about money. Well, you know, what happened was, and this is why I said before, like, I don't care what Nick Saban has to say or Urban Meyer
I
has
don't
to
either.
say,
I
or
don't either.
I don't care what they have to say about the current state of college football, because the reason is the reason I don't care is because you had it your way for a long time, and like in Nick Saban's case, he's probably the richest public employee in the history of public employees.
They had a Burger King sign outside the stadium because he had it his way, bro.
Listen,
You
there's
understand what
no
I'm
two
saying?
ways around it, and
He had it his
they were
way.
great at not getting caught. They were great at not
Yeah.
getting caught. But look at the whenever him and Jimbo got into their little tiff about him saying that Jimbo bought his whole team. I lost it.
You back
Whenever
with me,
him and
Jason?
Jimbo got into their little
Can't hear
tiff.
you.
You can't hear me? Go out and come
Can't
back
hear
in.
you, bro.
Out and back in. Hold on. Hello? Can everybody else hear me?
Can you guys hear me?
Tell me if you guys can hear me. Give me a 1 if you can hear me, a 2 if you can only hear Marcus.
I don't know what happened to Jason. I think
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you now, bro.
Okay.
All right,
How about everybody else? Okay, they were hearing us both, but okay, good.
Okay.
All right. Good. No, I just say I go back to like what I was saying is I go back to when the little tiff between Nick and Jimbo. Whenever Nick said, he bought his whole team, and they did buy their whole team. We all knew that. That was the greatest recruiting class in the history or whatever. But I'll tell you, at the end of the day, it was all just for show because you were allowed to do it, but they were still both kicking and screaming about what you were and weren't able to do because there was still that stigma around paying players like that.
Man, look.
But at the end of the day, everybody else was embracing it because it's their opportunity. And all of this, that's where I'm at, is all of this talk about this being the end of college football and terrible for college football is absolutely ridiculous. Because guess what?
Look at the numbers.
Without NIL and the transfer portal, Indiana doesn't win a national championship.
Ask you this right here, Jason. Think about all the media coverage from 24/7 to On3 to ESPN that covers the portal and everything that goes along with college football. NIL has brought more revenue to this sport than anything. You take that away, you don't have football year round. You think ESPN, they want that. On3 wants that.
Sure.
So, I mean, you're going to take money from a lot of people if you try to go back the old way. So what happens to that kid that say, you know what? Hey, I'm not going to sit up here and go to school for free. I can go to technical college and get the same thing that I need for education. If that's the case, I'm not going to beat myself up from 5 o'clock in the evening till 8 o'clock at night doing all this, and I'm not going to get paid anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so there's a lot of things. How much money does the SEC lose? How much money does the NCAA lose without the NIL era? They lose a lot.
Yeah, they do. No, well, I mean, look, it hasn't. If it's hurting the NCAA so much, or if it's hurting college football or college sports so much, why do the television numbers continue to go this way? What it's hurting is it's taking the power away from the power brokers.
Mm-hmm. Well, either you embrace it or you get gone. And it's just you take Ole Miss embrace it. They just went over there at Clemson and say, hey, look, what they paying you? Oh man, that's peanuts. Come on over here, I got you. You see what I'm saying? That's so So here's the thing: if you're not a head coach that embrace it, you need to get out of the sport. That's basketball, football, whatever the situation is. If you're going to sit up here and complain, number one, as an athlete, if I hear a head coach complaining about the players getting paid in any capacity, I'm not going there. You got schools like Ole Miss, Texas Tech, Texas A&M. These schools, Vanderbilt, Indiana, these schools, Miami, these schools are saying, hey, we got it. Come get it. You know, so they're messing with the old heads is what I want to call it. Your time has passed you by. It's just like, I remember back in the day being a young cat. I'm 55 years old now. But I remember the old man used to tell me, hey, man, when you get on up in age, you're gonna wish for younger days. And that's just what they is. They wish for younger days. I wish I was 25. Could move around and do some of the things that I did at 25. That's their problem. They wish they could do things that they used to could do. And they can't do it anymore. But these younger coaches, you take Kurt at Indiana, he's an older guy, but he has embraced it. And Jimbo has had talks about wanting to get back into college football because he's a guy that embraces it. Mm-hmm. And I think he will get a shot. Before long, I really think Jimbo is going to get another shot. Just for the simple fact he embraces.
Well, he's got so much money, he doesn't have to worry about it. So he can now be. I mean, we saw him. He was on CW now, or whatever, doing just doing talking head stuff, basically the same as Nick Saban. And he don't have to lose any more games. You don't have to do any of that kind of stuff, and you can still be a major. Because look, hell. For that matter, I don't know what Nick Saban's complaining about. He makes more money at ESPN than he did as the head coach at Alabama.
Man, that's
by quite a bit.
So why are you complaining? Why are you bitching about it?
At the end of the day, I said this to Bishop Frank the other night. We were talking about a lot of this stuff, and because there's still a lot of people that are talking about we got to get a handle on this. We got to get some guidelines and this and that. Okay, cool. If you want guidelines, then it has to be coming from the players as well. I'm good with all that. But until the people that are saying this are, you know what? One thing I'll say this, and I've been one of the people that have been pretty tough on the University of Tennessee, right? The Nico thing didn't sit well with me. Everybody blaming Nico for everything that ails the world of college football. Whenever it was the Tennessee that taught him to do business that way, I didn't like it. But I'll say this part. You heard Danny White a couple of weeks ago talking about that it was about time to start messing with the CBA, collective bargaining. Mm-hmm. And you heard a bunch of people bitching about it. And that, well, it won't work and it won't this and this, blah, 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 blah. We can't do this. And he said, you know what? You know what he had to say? He goes, listen, I didn't say we're going to have to start at some point. We got enough money that it's time to stop saying something can't happen and start putting money towards making it happen to save it. Save the sport. If you really so worried about the sport, save the sport.
You can be you can have a union, or you can have an agreement. You can have an agreement with the players without having a union, believe it or not. You can. You don't have to have a union to have an agreement with the players. And that is what I think is going to have to happen. I think that's what the players can form a union. You don't have to have a how can I say this? How can I put it? They don't have to say I work for the University of Oklahoma or the University of Mississippi State. They can form a union in some capacity to protect them from any entity that they work for or they provide service for. Put it like that. So there are ways of getting around them having to be a paid player of the university. But you know what? They really don't want to do that. They're telling you this, but they don't want to do it. It's like that couple that's always arguing. I want a divorce. Well, I want one too. But neither one of you take your butts down there and go sign the papers. That's kind of what you got going on right now. It's almost like it's just good for TV. It's just, it's just something else to write about, something else to post about, something else to tweet about. Because we don't see anywhere where the SEC or the Big Ten or the commissioners are saying, hey, look, we need to stop this. It's outsiders. Nick Saban, outsider. Greg Sankey is not sitting down with the president. These are outsiders that are talking.
Well, he was there. He was there at the meeting too.
Oh, Sankey was there?
Yeah.
I didn't hear a lot. He didn't say a lot.
He didn't say anything, I don't think.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So the talking heads are not the conferences. It's the outsiders. So what do you got? You got people right here in this state that are upset about, this tax deal that just happened.
Yep.
They're upset.
Well, here's the thing, though. That's just part of the arms race, and that's what this all is. It's all the arms race, man. We're talking about all this, and we could bring that part into it too. Mississippi passed a thing in the legislature that eliminates NIL taxes for NIL on college athletes in the state. So Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Southern Miss, any of the JUCOs, whatever. Any of their NIL, if they're making NIL, they're not going to get taxed on it. Now, I would tell people that this doesn't make as big of a difference as you might think it would, because there's not a huge amount that you might have 4 or 5 guys that are making upwards of $1 million or whatever on a program in most of these programs to begin with. I think it's growing a little bit, but
it is.
At the end of the day, right now, it's not a huge amount of money. Does it look good for the state whenever, certain states, whenever they've got public workers that aren't getting these tax breaks and things like that? No, it doesn't. That being said, though, it's something that has to be done. There were already at least 5 other programs in the SEC that were benefiting from that.
Arkansas, Tennessee, Texas.
Yeah. I think Saban for commission is about the dumbest thing I ever heard from anybody ever.
The craziest thing in the world.
From anyone ever.
Why would you want him as your commissioner?
Why would you want him around you? No.
Reverse everything.
Because let me tell you something. You're an Oklahoma fan. He ain't going for Oklahoma, bro.
Oh man. It doesn't matter what fan you are. I'm telling you, this cat has shocked the heck out of me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I watched Nick Saban take up for his kids when it comes to matters with the police, stuff happening at school. He was like, hey, look, let me look at all the facts. He was that guy. And a couple times he had guys who were innocent of stuff that the media had already crucified him for. So as a champion of the kids, man, I respect him a lot for just what he done. But this right here, bro, I can't get behind it. I cannot get behind him on this. Because it seems like he's wanting to change it. For what reason? Is he a backdoor spokesperson for the coaches that don't want to speak up? I don't know. I really don't know why he is pushing this when everybody is getting paid. This is what you should do. You take these kids that's getting money. Once you have a program at every school that show them how to make money, how to invest money. Every program say they have it, but the kids got to go big and ask for it.
Yep. Listen to this. A group of 18 Nebraska football players are set to challenge the College Sports Commission over rejected third-party NIL deals, according to Yahoo Sports' Ross Dellinger. The players chose to go to arbitration over the deals, and the deals in question were rejected by NIL Go, which launched following the House settlement approval and vets third-party NIL deals worth more than $600. All told, the deals are worth more than $1 million. The players believed to be the first to challenge the CSC retained law firm Hush Blackwell as counsel. So here we go. News of the Nebraska football players challenge came hours after the College Sports Commission released its latest NIL Go deal flow report. According to the report, 18 deals were in arbitration and were consolidated into a single case. That case, according to Dellinger, involves Nebraska players and proposed deals with Playfly, the school's media rights partner. This is big for everybody, by the way, because most of the SEC schools are going with Learfield. Okay.
Right, Learfield.
College Sports Commission guidelines call for a neutral arbitrator to oversee the case. The arbitrator will be selected by plaintiff attorneys for the House settlement and the NCAA lawyers. The process is then to last no more than 45 days after an arbitrator is appointed, unless the arbitrator chooses to extend the timeline. If there's no resolution, a hearing will take place before the arbitrator. Players and attorneys' lawyers will then present their arguments. In total, the CSC said $166.5 million worth of deals have been approved on NIL Go since last summer, and 711 deals with a total value of almost $30 million have been reviewed and not cleared. In addition, 10 deals in arbitration previously reported as of December 31st were all withdrawn by the athletes. So, holy crap. Between January 1 and February the 28th, 3,704 deals were cleared with an aggregate of $39.29 million. Meanwhile, 187 were not cleared with an aggregate of $14 million. The data corresponds with a 15-day college football transfer portal window. There's no question that during the portal, agents were demanding guaranteed NIL for athletes, and the schools felt pressure to guarantee those things, said Brian Seeley, the CEO of the College Sports Commission. All right. This is a thing, guys, because Learfield is doing the same thing. They're guaranteeing this NIL money because they can go, if you're Learfield or Playfly or whoever the case may be, you can guarantee NIL because you can use these players. You're already their media partner. So you can use them in media spots and try to do it. Now, for whatever reason, Playfly didn't go and do things the way that CSC wanted it done. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to, this right here is the way. You got to stop the ability to sue. If you can't stop the ability for these lawsuits to happen, then the CSC doesn't matter, because supposedly, according to Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti and all the commissioners and all these athletic directors, Joe C was one of the ones behind this at Oklahoma, guys. All these dudes were saying, in order to be part of the CSC, you had to agree to not sue. So now they're already going against that.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Georgia, they were one of the first to kind of push everything over to.
It was them in Ohio State were the first two to go to Learfield.
Right.
Yeah. Them in Ohio State.
Right. So,
but everybody's using it. So, I mean, there's not a quote unquote collective anymore, except that there is. Right?
Man, come on.
Because the collective is now Learfield. And they can handle all that stuff for you, or whatever. And then you obviously you have agents that can go out there and get third-party deals on their own or whatever as well. But the third party is Learfield, and they can give you a deal. What is the difference between that and the Playfly deals that these guys at Nebraska got? I don't know.
I think it's kind of, it's one of those things where, okay, this, it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's a monopoly somehow. I don't know. I mean, There's no
Because
difference in them. You know,
an example of why an NIL deal would not be approved was supposed to be because it was a blatant pay for play, quote unquote, deal, or it was going to go over the $20.5 million cap that they have. They were trying to also make it to where NIL works into the cap money for your revenue share. So that
it's
all of
dope.
that had to be worked into that as part of it. They were trying to cap NIL, which they've already been told that's not going to happen.
It's not going to
Going to
happen.
work.
It's not
That's
gonna
why even like your Cody Campbells of the world and everybody else, they're dead ass against that, and they're going after the CSC on it.
Well, I
This
can
stuff
tell you,
isn't going to work, guys. It's never going to work until you give the players say in it as well.
and Jason, there's the old saying, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. And that's what they're trying to do. And you can't do it.
Pay
You
for
got to
players
come up
a
with
$20
something.
million. Yeah, they're trying to proverbially put the toothpaste back in the tube. And I think that's what Donald Trump was doing on Friday. He was trying because he flat out said I want to try to take it all the way back to no NIL at all.
That's not going to happen, bro.
They can't happen because it was 9-0 in the U.S. Supreme Court to allow it.
Right. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So you got to look at this. What's going on right now in college football is just like,
or like this too. You're right too. Here's another reason they could say no if they can quote unquote show that it isn't fair market value for doing something. Now that fair market value is also BS because I would tell you this. You're worth whatever the hell somebody's willing to pay you.
Say it again. So, of course.
And here's the thing, guys, don't get it twisted.
Your worth is
Do not get it twisted and act like that just because the Sankey or whoever it may be is acting like they won't do anything, that they won't break this rule, when there's a player they can go get if they break this rule.
Jason, any school, when we were in the portal, a lot of schools, let me tell you what they're doing. And they're telling kids, if you go to a D1, FBS, Power 4, this is what you're worth. This is what you're worth at a G5. I mean, they have compiled a scale of trying to give you this. This is what you're worth. This is what we see your value is. And it's up to that athlete, their parent, the agent, uncle, daddy, cousin, whatever, to say, no, I feel like my value is this.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So you can't put value on something, you can't do it. How many times have you seen something online that, okay, let's say it was worth $500, but somebody wanted it bad enough, they paid $800 for it. It's like going to an auction. Yeah, I gotta have that piece. Well, that piece is only worth $400,000. Yeah, but I gotta have that piece to complete everything that I got. I know it's only worth $400,000, but it's worth $600 to me if I get it. So you can't say what fair market value is when it comes down to a player. It's all depending on the program and the situation. Indiana's a perfect example. They fill their roster with guys who probably, had went somewhere else. They're like, we're not going to give you that. But Indiana said, no, we're going to give you this because you fit what we're doing. Instead of us giving you, 150, we're going to give you 250. Instead of you going to Oklahoma, you go to Indiana now. And I got a quality kid. So it's all about knowing your worth as an athlete. How do you know your worth? Hey man, film and how bad they want you. So right now I'm saying, to all of these people out here that's talking crazy, you got a bunch of head coaches right now that's ahead of the curve, and they're going to stay ahead of the curve. They're not talking a whole lot, but you take a school like Notre Dame. You don't really hear Notre Dame get into the money talk at all. But you know they got it.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have the kids they have on that roster if they didn't have it. Those kids are not coming just because of touchdown Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
They're not coming because of that.
No.
You look at what Oklahoma's doing right now, in the 2027 class. They have figured something out. They have figured a financial flow out to be able to get the kids that they have. So, hey man, it is what it is. Stop crying. Nick Saban, get over there and on game day and do your due and let these college coaches, the ones who are actually coaching right now, to me, he shouldn't have a say so. I don't care if he won 30 championships. How many championships has he won in this era? It's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He hasn't.
No. Well, and that's the thing. If you're a non-blue blood school, in particular, and somebody who has, I mean, look, the chances of a Kansas State, a Texas Tech, a Houston, an Indiana, or anybody like that, anybody in the ACC not named Miami or Clemson or Florida State winning a national championship pre-NIL, it was next to no chance.
Yes.
Right? You had TCU play for the national championship. They got beat by 60.
Right.
They got beat by 60. Right? So whether or not you want to say, well, they had a shot. Yeah, they had a shot right in their ass. And so let's just be real about it. Let's just be real about it. And the truth is, now the most unsuccessful team in the history of college football is Indiana.
And that's why they're spooked, Jason.
And they just came out of nowhere with a non-blue chip. They didn't a non-qualifying for the blue chip ratio team and won the national championship. That means anybody can do it.
How bad has Vanderbilt been over the last 10 years in the SEC? Nick Saban got on national TV 3 years ago and talked about, he talked about how tough the SEC was, and there was one win that he could always count on in the SEC, and that was Vanderbilt. And I'd be damned if it
there's no counting on that win anymore.
Right.
They decided to start playing the game.
Right. And to be honest with you, they played them very tough at Alabama this year, had the lead for a long time in the ball game, all the way through the third.
Marcus, they were 10-2.
Correct.
They missed the playoff at 10-2.
Correct. They lost to Alabama and
Texas.
Okay. I thought they were 9-3.
Thought they 10-2, man. They lost to Bama and Texas.
Okay. All right.
Now they didn't play the other best teams in the conference.
Tennessee?
They beat Tennessee. They beat the brakes off Tennessee at Neyland Stadium.
Can't remember.
Final game of the year.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, this is not, I mean, look, you're at a point now where it's funny that, we're acting like they're going against everybody winning. The way that things are, look, the people that are fighting against the NIL and the transfer portal and all this stuff, it's not the people that want Indianas of the world to be able to win national championships. It's the ones that don't.
Man, I think
the ones that don't, folks.
More and more I think about some of the statement that Greg Sankey said, the more and more I kind of agree with him. I do.
Okay.
I do. I kind of agree with him.
Meaning what? What part do you agree with?
I agree with, if you keep screwing with us, pretty much is what he was saying. We're going to do our own thing. And I think he will have enough people.
Why do you think that is? Because right now the SEC is the one conference that they've got to set the tone in every way. So they've got to play 9 conference games. They already have the toughest schedule top to bottom, and they've got to play as many games. Plus, they play an extra game against a Power 4 opponent. They already have to do that, And so by doing all these things, do you think that they added a team to the playoff currently, or they lost a team going to the playoff? They had 5 teams in.
I don't
What's the
think they get
chances they
5
get 5
in.
again?
I
No
don't think they
way.
get 5. Now the
Not at
trade-off,
12. And
the
that's not going
trade-off
to
for
be
not getting
okay.
5 is getting an extra $10 million.
Okay, $10 million. Good.
That's the
I
trade-off for
mean,
not getting 5. I feel like they traded that, Jason, to be honest with you.
I don't think I think that they did that because they were under the impression that, number one, they believed that they were going to go to a 16-team playoff first and foremost.
Yeah,
It didn't work
I
out
agree
that
with
way.
that as well.
It didn't work out that way, but that was the expectation. Number two, if you notice that, and look, and I said this, and I was getting some heat on Brinsky's show the other day, but if you look at what the Big Ten did, it's still not as good of a conference up top to bottom as what the SEC is, but they couldn't hide their best teams from each other as much this year. You're seeing a lot of those guys.
They did it the year before.
They're playing at least 4 to 5 top 25 teams in the regular season now. And Ohio State has 6 top 25 opponents. Now, I wasn't saying that means that anybody's going to beat them or that that they were as good. It was the same as the SEC. That's not what I'm saying. You know better. I don't say that. Right. What I'm telling you is that the strength of schedule thing, it does matter in the selection, but it mattered one time. If you turn around this year, now you go back and you have more teams from the Big Ten getting in because they have a better record.
Mm-hmm.
And less teams getting in from the SEC because you got a bunch of 9-3 teams because they played an extra SEC game. Somebody's going to get beat that needs to win at that last part of the season. It's going to happen.
Oh, definitely.
It's going to happen. Somebody got to lose every weekend. So at the end of the day, you're going to end up losing teams. And guess what? Those are the kind of things that when they're leading the way in playing the toughest schedules and they've got the best temes top to bottom in the league, they may not have the best teams at the very top. And I'm not saying that they do, but if they have the best teams top to bottom and they're playing, it's a tougher way for you to get in. Plus they're playing a lot of these non-conference Power Fours cannot be canceled. You can't cancel Florida State and Florida. You can't cancel South Carolina and Clemson.
Rivals.
That's right. You can't do it.
No, you're not. The schools lose too much money on that.
You can't cancel Georgia and Georgia Tech. The state, it's not even about losing money. The state that they live in isn't going to allow it. They're not going to allow such a thing.
That's a lot of money lost if you lose those games. A lot of money.
At the end of the day, what they have to do is they're going to have to figure this out. And so if you end up getting screwed out of that, here's what's going to happen. Not only will they go and take their ball and go do their own thing, they're going to take a bunch of teams with them.
And they're going
to grab a bunch of your ACC programs, and they're going to grab a bunch of your Big 12 programs.
Yes.
And then and they're going to do that, and they're going to put, it may not happen but once, but it'll happen. And they will force their hand. There will not be a pooling of all media rights. Understand this. That ain't happening.
So let me ask you this. How would someone like ABC and ESPN, would they get behind this? Could you see them making a backdoor deal with the SEC or whoever decides to do this? Can you see that?
Yeah. Absolutely.
How much money?
It won't even be a backdoor deal. They'll do that shit out in front of everybody.
Right. So let me ask you this. So if ESPN comes to Sankey and say, hey, look, I heard what you said. We got $2.5 billion for you if you guys do that. But we're going to need another 8 to 10 teams to come with you guys. what do? What does the NCAA do? Now they're going to holler, Congress, help, 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 help. We're about to. That's what's going to happen. So what Sankey said, I think he's standing on business. I think he's saying, okay, get your crap together, or we're going to pull the Trump card. So for all these people out here that thinking this stuff can't happen, I think it's going to happen in the next 5 years.
Well,
I think
I
you'll have
agree.
enough. I think you'll have enough money from ESPN, ABC, and look, let's not leave out one of the biggest networks that's growing. Let's not leave out Netflix,
Apple TV, Netflix,
Apple
any of these
TV.
big
Yeah,
streaming services. Any of these big streaming services have got something to do with that as well.
man.
You're right.
How many of them are looking, saying, "Hey, look, I think we got something over here. Let's see what kind of numbers we can come together, put together for this." You got Peacock, you got Paramount, you got a lot of different entities out there. Because guess what? How many people on here right now still subscribe to a cable company? Hardly
Not very
none.
many. No, almost none. Yeah.
Everybody's streaming. So you get these streaming companies come and say, "Hey, look, man, this is what we'll pay you." Because when he put that out there, how many CEOs of some of these networks heard that and say, "Look, I'm gonna put together a team of 5. I'm gonna put together a team and just see what if that does happen. Where will we stand? What kind of money could we generate for them?" That's what I'm talking about right there. So
Right.
yeah, that's why I put yes on the poll. Guys, go in there. I don't know if you still have the poll up or not, but yeah, I mean, I voted yes on the poll because I think it can happen.
Yeah. No, I think it could. I think it may.
Well, right in my living room, Brent Venables said this. He said in the next 5 years, this in 2024, he said there's only going to be 40 teams, 40 to 45 teams, conference. Everybody else will probably stay with the NCAA, but he felt like that there were commissioners talking about it. So when you have a head coach of an SEC school bring up something like that, you got to look at it. You got to take note. And I don't know where he got his information from, but he said that sitting in my living room. He said there's a possibility of it happening a lot faster than you think.
This thing is a powder keg ready to blow up right now at any point.
Just like the fuse. All you got to do is light the fuse.
Yep. And the fuses, yeah, they're trying to light it all the time.
Yeah. Somebody trying to light it is like, it's like somebody's trying to light it and somebody knock them out the way and, I mean, it's coming. It's coming. And I think that college football is so exciting that it's a drug. College football is a freaking drug.
Nobody's going to stop watching college football, and that's at the end of the day. At the end of the day, that's the whole point. Is look, I think that there's a point of no return where you screw it up. But
I do.
If you're the SEC, look, the SEC could, at the way things are going right now, you're going to tell me that the SEC, the Big 12, and say, okay, we want 3/4 of your schools come on right now, and you become an SEC program.
Man, let me tell you something.
Every one of those schools would immediately jump.
Like a kangaroo. Just that fast, bro. Texas Tech, I think, will be the next one. I really do. For some reason, I just got a hunch that Texas Tech is your next school in the SEC.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it would have been in the past. I think that the first teams that they want are Carolina and Virginia. I think that works with their footprint. But here's the thing: if we're heading to a bigger league and you're going and doing it on your own, it's definitely right there with them. I think your West Virginias of the world are going to be part of that. Okie Light probably, K-State, Kansas.
Yeah,
They're all going to be there.
yeah. And like I say, you got to look at the money aspect. Texas Tech is a big time money school.
Yeah.
Regardless of what people say, and that's just Texas Tech. No, bro. They got the paper.
No, what they've
play.
done with Cody Campbell, the money that they've put together, and the way that they have it put together to where it's making money. This is not him having to just fork out new money every year. This is money that they're generating through their collective every year after year.
Let me ask you this, Jason. I'm finna hit you with a bombshell. Will it be just football?
No.
You don't think it would? You think everything else will follow? Or would it be just football? Like,
possibly. Yeah, as far as like breaking away and doing a power one your own thing, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think it would
because right now the NCAA is doing its job with. I mean, I don't think that it's very good what they're doing with college hoops either, but
it's not a disarray.
But it's making a shit ton of money. It's making a shit ton of money,
right? But it's not a baseball and basketball is not in disarray like football is.
No, but I don't know. I think it all depends on. I think things change if you're doing all that because now you're completely opposed to another side of this thing. So now you're building for power on all of it. You may not even have the ability to not change it.
But let me ask you this.
For it not to be all of it, right? It may be all of it. And I think that when it comes to think about right now, basketball and baseball, the SEC has been on top of those two sports as well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Women's basketball and men's basketball.
Yeah.
They had 15 teams in last year's tournament.
Hey man, they got 11 women teams that are ranked in the top 25 right now. 10 or 11. Yeah. So it's it's a lot of paper, bro.
Yeah.
It's a lot of paper. So
at the end of the day, all I'm saying is that I wouldn't look, I can't tell you exactly how it's gonna go because none of us know, but I'm gonna tell you this. There's nothing, I don't think that there's anything that's off the table.
No, there's nothing off the table. So let me ask you this. Schools like Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Indiana, those schools like that, do you see a longevity of winning? I'm not saying national championship. Do you see these schools staying relevant for the next 5 years, the way things are going? These are schools that wasn't relevant.
Ask me the question one more time.
Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Indiana, schools that normally these schools, they might have a good season one every 8-9 years. Now, Ole Miss has been consistent up under Lane Kiffin. But the way things are going, these schools, I feel like, will be in contention from now on, unless they try to reverse it. And is that the reason why, guys like Nick Saban and all those guys, do you feel like these schools coming up is the reason why they want to reverse everything back?
Yeah, I don't know anybody that really wants to do that aside from the big boys.
Yeah, it's taken from them, and I'm trying to figure out.
Your blue bloods. Hey, look, and I'd tell you, your Texases, your Oklahomas, your Alabamas, your Georgias. The teams that were already dominating it, LSU. I think that if anybody wants to see it kind of go back, because they already knew how to cheat. They already knew how to win, and they're comfortable with the bag man. They're comfortable with the bag man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They're
But I'm
comfortable
just
in
going
it.
to tell you, it's not going backwards. The toothpaste ain't going back in the tube.
No, no. Man,
SC, yeah, sure.
you tickle me, man.
USC is the other team. They play in the Big Ten isn't really a baseball conference. That's why they're just now in the top 25.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Big Ten is
The Big Ten
not
doesn't
a
play
baseball.
baseball, man. It's still too cold for them to play right now.
Nah. Those are sports that Oregon and USC, they ought to
Ohio State and
dominate.
Michigan, yes.
They
Okay,
ought
so
to
I'm not
dominate.
talking. I'm just saying these blue bloods. Yes, I promise you, if anybody wants to see it go back or stop being the way that it is, sure, it's going to be the big boys.
But let me ask you this. Okay.
Because they can win at this. They can win playing this game.
Yeah, they can win playing the
But
game.
it's easier for them to win if if Indiana ain't a part of the deal.
But when you get a team like Indiana that spent that kind of money to win, and let's just say they do something to turn it back a little bit. Now it's kind of like crack. You didn't gave them a little bit. Now they have won. They understand winning. How much would they say? I don't care what the rules are. We're gonna pay. We're gonna bag man too. So I think what you have shown everybody is this is the reason why the Alabamas and the Michigans and the Oklahoma. This is the reason why they won in the first place because they had more money being distributed to these players. Because once everybody else started doing the same thing, look at the parity we have right now. You can turn a football team over in a year time. When you hired a head football coach, what was it, Jason? Always 3 years. We got to give him 3 years.
4 years, 5 years even.
Yeah, you don't have to do that now.
No. Not
Year
with it.
two,
No,
year two.
and look, I'd say this: Kurt Signetti winning in year 2 and going to the freaking playoff in year 1
It's
just
going to put
ramped
pressure.
up it just ramped up the damn timeline for people.
Yeah. You take it. Oh man, I'm finna catch it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Ole Miss, Pete. Let's say next year if things don't go the way that the fans are expecting, how much heat will he take? I don't know. It's his first year. How much heat will he get? It's gonna be tough because they just spent the money to do it. Now, if they wasn't spending the money like a Southern Miss or some of the other schools that not spending that kind of money, you could expect, okay, man, this is the best we're gonna do. Because looking at our roster, we don't have a roster of top talent because we don't have $40 million to pay for a roster. A $40 million roster and a $20 million roster should not have the same record.
Right.
Shouldn't have the same record. So that's where you're going with that. And not saying Pete's not going. Pete's going to be fine. I'm just giving an example.
No, but you're right. I mean, that's the thing is that look, I mean, we've been kind of saying this before, and I'm a fan of Pete Golding. I think that he did a great job. I think that with everything that they got put through by Lane last year, good for him and good for the way they go. I think that this Trinidad Chandler is going to have a lot to do with it, but this defensive coaches, you've had an offensive coach that's been the most successful coach in the history for you so far.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden you got a guy taking over and hoping that they can sustain what they've been doing offensively and adding a defense to it in order to be able to win. Right?
Yes.
So at the end of the day, he's never been a head coach. And I think that there's, whether people want to admit it or not, as Ole Miss fans, I think there's some trepidation about whether or not he can hold on to this thing or not. And we're going to find out. I think that if you get Chambliss to come back this year and they go back to the playoff, then, you punt on it this year. It'll be the first year that he has to have his own players that he brought in that we find out.
After this year.
Correct.
I don't think he would be judged.
But either way, there's going to come a time that Pete's going to have to prove his salt with his own dudes.
Yeah, he's going. Yeah, exactly. I know what he did in the playoffs, And
And I'm not saying anything bad about him. I'm not saying he's not that guy. I'm just saying it don't matter who it is. Anybody would have to do this.
You're being a realist.
Anybody would have to do it.
Yeah, anybody. You're being a realist about it. I mean, that's just.
Listen, at some point, if we're gonna do the Mississippi and Mississippi State thing, let's do Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Jeff Lebby ain't done good in the first 2 years. He had an awful defense and a really good offense. If this defense doesn't come in here and they don't make a move pretty soon, Jeff Lebby's probably not in. He's a little on shaky ground his damn self.
Yeah, and you know
it don't take long. It don't take long for you to go from the catbird seat to the outhouse, bro.
Well, let's go back to the money about a $20 million team and a $40 million team shouldn't look the same. So I'm saying we're taking Mississippi State just for an example. This could be any school in the country. If you did not spend but $12 million your first year on NIL, then it's going to show. If you spend a little bit more money than next year, it should show. If you spend more money than next year, it should show. So, is it showing for Mississippi State?
Right.
From year to year? I think it has.
Well, but they won. They went to a bowl game. They definitely improved from year one to year two. I think that the people that are saying bad things about this, the people that are saying, like I've heard SEC Mike say that he thinks Lebby's on the hot seat. I don't.
No, he's not on the hot seat. I
would tell you that if you have 5 wins again this year, then you might be.
Correct. That's a fair statement. Because you're not improving. I say the same thing about Florida State. I say the same thing about Oklahoma. Oklahoma, they improved. Now,
listen, we talked about this last week on this show, and let me just add this in there. Oklahoma went 10-3, went to the playoff last year, but a year after going 6-7. If they fall to 8 wins this year and lose to Texas again, they may not fire Brent, but things are going to get awfully shaky for him.
Mm-hmm. And you take the offensive situation. It was better, yeah. How much better? 15% better than what it was the year before. So
I don't know that it was offense for Oklahoma.
Yeah, it was better than what it was the year before, man. Come on,
not much.
It was better.
Their kicker was better.
It was, but you go look at numbers. The numbers were
look.
Better.
I'm not. Yes, they were better. Yeah. They were better by.
But I'm not saying. Oh man, they just got so much better. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. But I'm saying this for any program in the country when it comes down to NIL. Let's go back to what we talked about. NIL changes everything for every school in the college football.
Yeah. James Strice says it. The annual inflation for NIL is crazy. There's a dude that got twice as big a bag as Mateer this year in the portal. And when Mateer was the highest rated quarterback in the portal last year. That's true. Yes. The dude's name is Levitt. He went to LSU and got $6 million.
Well, here's the thing. A school is not going to, you shouldn't give it if you can't afford it. I'm not going to go buy a car if I can't afford it. So if I can afford it, it is what it is. Sure. Because if every school said, you know what, I can't afford to pay you $6 million. If every school he goes to tell him he can't afford to pay $6 million.
Arms race is not going to end. That's what we're talking about. Right. In the end of the day, it ain't going nowhere.
No. Mm-mm. But what I'm saying is, if that school didn't feel like you was that value, you had that value to their program, they would not give it to you.
No.
Period.
No.
If a head coach,
and I guarantee you something else I'll add to that, James.
Go ahead.
You know what? When you think about that for just a second, think about that for 1 second. Oklahoma put themselves in a good position by making that a 2-year deal for that amount of money, right? Mm-hmm. So they didn't have to renegotiate it because he didn't have a good enough season. He didn't have a good enough season where a bunch of people were clamoring to come and get him from you.
Yeah, actually, it was smart on Oklahoma's behalf. Very smart. because it played out. You got 10 wins out the cat. You didn't have to pay him no more money to stay. It might, so, so come on. With the season he had last year, even if he hit the portal, he wouldn't have got what he got at Oklahoma.
At the end of the day, Trojan Fight, the numbers are going to keep going up. They're going to be the bare minimum $40 million rosters. Okay, but as long as the money continues to rise in college football, you're going to be able to keep going with it. At the end of the day, as soon as it stops, as soon as the money train, the gravy train stops rolling, then it'll stop rolling. It all goes downhill, fellas. It all goes downhill.
You know who really pays for a lot of this? So you got ESPN got contracts with the conferences, right? So you know who's going to pay more right out the gate? Coca-Cola's going to pay more. They're going to pay more for their advertising because they got to pay them. But if Coca-Cola don't see a benefit in it, they're not going to pay that. That's when you're going to have a little bit of a stoppage to it. As long as those people who are paying for this advertising keep paying more and more, just like the Super Bowl. Super Bowl ads just kept going up. And
Absolutely.
people was like, man, ain't no way in the world I'll pay that. It's supply and demand. People want to see it. They need it. They looking at the numbers. So long as you're looking at the numbers and the numbers that keep climbing and climbing and climbing, yes, the salaries are going to go up. Why wouldn't they not? If Coca-Cola is paying you $20 million and they were just paying you 10 a couple years ago, that's more money that the NCAA is making. They could give back to the schools. So this thing is just not about these kids, because guess what? It's about the whole shit and caboodle, and the kids are always to blame. But as me and you talked about, they are not the ones who started this mess. But guess what?
I said this. I'll say this again. What I said earlier today, and I said it to Bishop Frank yesterday. As long as I am on these airways talking about NIL and the portal or whatever you want to talk about when it comes to this stuff in college football and college sports in general, and players getting paid, or you messing with their ability to move around and continue to get paid, I'm gonna tell you this: I'm always gonna be on the side of the athlete.
Players, man.
Always. And there's never going to be a time that I'm going to tell you otherwise. Never, never, never.
Right.
Because you don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. But until I start seeing that the players have say in it, you're never going to hear me. You're never going to hear me go on the side of the people with all the money.
All the money.
That are making all the decisions.
Yeah, not going to do it. I'm not doing it.
I'm not ever going to do it.
Not doing it. Not doing it. I mean, here's the thing.
I'm with you on this too. The rising ticket prices. Guess whose fault that is, Trojan Fight?
That's
it right. Ain't the players' fault.
It's not their fault. It's
It's going to cost you more to watch it on television too.
Definitely.
Guess what? They're generating that money. They're generating that money and not making as much of it. Look, I'm going to tell you this. College football only makes less money than the NFL. It makes more money than the NBA and every other damn sport combined.
And then you don't have a professional.
And they're not really that close to the NFL in money as far as what football. The players get paid.
Right. I don't know what he's talking. And come on, man. You don't have a minor league. When college football is minor league. It's the minor league to the NFL. I don't care about all those except man. This is the true minor league.
It's the only league you have to play. You can't go straight to the NFL.
Right. Well, basketball you have to play 1 year. But here's the thing: now you can go overseas and play 1 year of basketball and go straight to the NBA.
Yeah. Hey. Trojan Fight, I'm going to tell you that I agree with you 100%. Should they raise the prices? No. But And as long as you continue, as long as you or whoever it may be is going to continue putting that off on, well, it's because we got to pay these players.
Yeah, it's
So it's going to keep going up. So guess what, bro? I got to tell you, there's a number that it'll stop at, and it'll stop as soon as people stop going. And you of all people should know what that number is. Nobody goes and watches SC.
But look, check this out, Jason. If you
I
go
shouldn't
from
say nobody, but fewer people go watch SC.
Jason, you go from the head coach all the way down to the trainers, and you look at that roster, and you put together how much money is being paid to those guys, which is fewer than 105 kids on the team. I guarantee you that that number is higher than what they're paying the players in a lot of these schools.
Yeah.
Brent is getting what, $9 million? Doggone Bimbo's getting $1 million.
He's got a bunch of assistants that are making $1 million.
You see what I'm saying? So for the capacity of how many numbers when it comes to coaching to 105 kids, who's really making the money?
And that's what I'm saying. There's only a few guys that are really making that much money.
You see what I'm saying? And you look at that football team, you got 6 or 7 guys that might be making ooh-wee money.
In the NFL with collective bargaining, you know why you can people, and I'm usually not, I'm gonna tell you this. When it comes to the NFL, first off, I'm not a big NFL fan anymore at all. But I'll tell you this much, at least with the NFL, it's 50-50, baby.
Yes, sir. 50-50. Yeah. I mean,
it's gonna stay that. But as long as you're gonna bring people, I mean, look, as long as people are gonna watch, and I mean, look, here's the truth of it. I mean, the ticket prices being what they are, and as hard as it is to see the game and like parking and everything else, I know a lot of people that just don't even bother with it.
A lot of people just stay outside. They come for the tailgate. So it's cheaper to go tailgate and set your TV up.
Sure.
Outside.
And you can see the game better and everything else too, a lot of times.
You hear the crowd, you still around the people, the atmosphere is still there. So, college football is not going anywhere, guys.
No.
You can't, like I said, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, and I'm with Sankey.
No, look, and like, however it goes down, my opinion is that it's let me ask you this though. Let's go out on this one.
All right.
Let's finish this on this one, and I'll ask you all the same thing. Now we finished that poll that went in. It was a 50-50, right down the middle, 22 voters.
Split.
50-50, right down the middle. So, but I'll ask you this. If I think to me, it feels like you're certainly going to a 16 team, but I think it's starting to look more and more like 24. And if they do it in a way that allows it to be, let me ask you, if they do a 24 and you don't have a commission that is picking the team so much, and it goes to the conferences to put in their number of teams, would you be okay with that? If that's where it's going to be?
Man, I just think 24 is too much.
I do too, but in order to get everybody on the same page and get more teams from the Big 12 and ACC,
I would go 16.
Okay.
I will go 16. I will go 16 with the SEC playing a 9-game schedule. Big 10 playing the same thing. I could see 16. There was a time when I would have said hell no. But I can see you have to do some rescheduling on the front end. Week 0 will have to turn into week 1, to keep it from.
See, that's where if that's where the SEC holds true, I think this will happen then.
Yeah, and one more
top
thing.
50 to 70 brands will break off and make one major college football league.
And
there will be collective bargaining because there will have to be.
Yeah, conference championships. I think if you go to 16, I think you got to get rid of the conference championships.
I think you do that too. I think I think if you go to 24, they're gonna do that.
Yeah, You're gonna have to. Too much time. It's too much splitting hairs on. Well, we won the championship, but we won the regular season. It's just like, it's like baseball. I mean, just like baseball. Okay, we won the SEC regular season, but we won the tournament. So, I think anywhere from 16 to 24, you got to X out the championships. Period. Mm-hmm. Go straight into play. Hey, we went through the gauntlet. We won. We won 8 games, 8 conference games. We're the champs. Let's go on from there. Make sure you got a pretty good tiebreaker in there. Let's roll with it. So I'm saying
look at what my answer was to Trojan Fights. What Trojan Fight said. He said, I don't think the SEC will pull off by themselves. It would likely be in combination with the Big Ten. No. Here's what I think. I think the SEC will break off on its own at some point.
Me too.
And grab as many schools as it can get that it's trying to have in its Super League. And then they'll wait for the Big Ten to build their Super League, which would be their AFC. And then you've got
AFC and NFC, baby.
AFC. That's what's going to happen. That's
it.
And I used to didn't think this was happening.
Shawty
been saying this for 4 years. I've been saying, nah.
Man, look,
I don't see any other way.
I don't see any other way. Man. We got to get it. We got to get Shawty back on here.
Yeah, we'll get him.
That's my guy. That's my guy. But yeah, man.
Hey, man, we've been going for about an hour and a half, and I appreciate everybody coming in. We're going to be doing some more stuff here coming up here in the next few days.
Oh yeah, man.
Definitely got some more stuff coming on this deal. And it's time. Look, we got spring football popping up, man. It's time.
Round the corner.
Some have already started.
Yeah.
Some of them have already started.
Hey, we might need to jump.
Got some quarterback. Got some quarterback battles around the conferences. It's it's starting up already. But we'll see what happens with all this. I'm glad that we're going to at least have some hitting and some stuff like that going on for the next couple of weeks.
Some spring games, man.
Some spring football games. About. Hell yeah, I can't wait.
None of this circus stuff. Let's play a game.
Yeah,
let's play some spring
I'm excited
football,
about it myself.
Yes, sir.
Guys, make sure you hit that like button, hit that share button. Make sure you're sharing it to all your social media.
Man.
I'm still short of 5,000 here. Help us there. We got more coming. We're gonna have plenty to be announcing here in the next month or so. We'll let you know whenever it comes about. But excited about what's coming up this year for not only my program, for everything that we're doing with Marcus Dent, Ole Miss 365, those guys. We got a lot of stuff recruiting. It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. It'll be a lot of fun. But appreciate everybody coming in. Let us know what you think. Are we all the way off? Are we crazy? If you're watching the replay, will it never go to a two-team Super League or a two-league Super League, whatever? I don't know. Let us know what you think. Will Greg Sankey never break away with the SEC?
Let's go, Greg.
We'll see you all on the next one.